Thank you so much for your patience. I would like to introduce your speaker, Moataz Y. Hussein. Moataz is a senior consultant and a co-founder of OPM Consulting, a US-based management consulting company. Prior to his consulting efforts, he worked in oil and gas. In 2006, he worked for one of the top 5 oil service companies in the world based out of Houston, Texas, and was selected a member of the International Business Development Team. Since 2012, he has been engaged in a major infrastructure development program in the Gulf region. Welcome, Moataz.
If a client has a major program, complex, risky, bringing a world-class program management consultant, or PMC, will guarantee the program success. This is what I thought 20 years ago when I was 18. But 20 years later, I realized that I was wrong. In 2013, I took the left to my office in the client's premises. This client has a large portfolio of large infrastructure programs. 2 gentlemen came to the left, and one of them asked the other, "Did anything important when I was on leave?" So the other gentleman replied, "Nothing important. We've just missed another milestone." He continued, "But the good thing is we're still at the beginning of the program, so we still have a lot of time to make it up." I was wondering why. I was wondering why bringing world-class program management consultants doesn't guarantee program success. I was curious to try to investigate the critical success factors, the links which, if they exist in a client-PMC relationship, that will increase the likelihood of program success. In order to do that, I worked closely with Dr. Kamushi to make a research to try to investigate the key program management outsourcing success. Dr. Kamushi is the associate professor in the Business School of George Washington University. Dr. Kamushi is also the chair of the Project Management, Master of Science in Project Management program. He's very interested in outsourcing, therefore he decided to outsource the delivery of this presentation to me. So let me start with a couple of relevant data. In the past 18 years, since 1995 till 2012, the world spent 36 trillion USD on infrastructure investment. From 2013 till 2030, it's expected to spend 57 trillion, approximately 60% increase. Let me ask you a question before I share with you this piece of information about the share of the infrastructure investment. Which region do you believe has the largest construction spending? MENA region? Asia? Who believes it's Asia? Okay. America? North America? North America, okay. South America? No, I didn't get an answer yet. Who believes it's Asia? Okay. Who believes it's North America? Okay? MENA region? Okay. Definitely it's Asia, 46%. Followed by Western Europe. Then North America. Then the rest of the world. China by itself, 2.5 trillion. This is the expected. 2.5 trillion. Let's come to the GCC. The overall GCC market is valued at approximately 2.4 trillion USD. The value of the expected contracts to be signed in the next 10 years is approximately 1.1 trillion USD. So we are talking about a lot of infrastructure investment, a lot of money. So the clients bring world-class program management consultants, PMC, to help them execute these large-scale programs. Why? The PMC, they have the experience, they have the competent staff, they know the best practices. So what happened after that? What happened after we brought the best PMCs on board? According to Booz & Company, they said that 90% of the infrastructure programs suffer from cost overrun, and more than that percentage suffer from schedule delay. Why? So this is the question that we were trying to answer. Through our engagements in some large-scale programs, we started to investigate, observe the problems, the issues, the challenges, and we started to gather and collect all these issues. We collected a large group of challenges and issues. And the interesting thing that we've noticed that once one problem arises, it triggers other problems. So it's like a domino effect. So do you remember Murphy's Law? When one thing goes wrong, everything starts to go wrong. This is exactly what happens in the larger scale programs. So for example, if the client has an incompetent staff, that incompetent staff will have a fear of losing their job or a fear of losing authority. And because of that, they will resist to cooperate with the PMC. And because there is no cooperation with the PMC, you will start to find poor communication between the client and the PMC. You will start to find poor coordination, and so on and so forth. A lot of challenges and issues. I'm not going to discuss this in details. Then we started to research the literature and some of the reports issued by the best program management consultants and management consultants like McKinsey, Booz & Company, Booz & Hamilton. And they identified a lot of factors for the large-scale project success. But they didn't talk about the PMC-managed program success. This is the area that we were interested in. So we gathered all this information, all the issues that we observed, all the success factors, and we were interested to come up with what we call it the program management outsourcing critical success factors. We developed a survey, and before I ask you about this, I just would like to know how many of you represents a client organization? Client organization, okay. How many of you represents a PMC? Okay. And how many of you represents a design or supervision consultant? Okay. Contractor? Okay. Others? That's fine. So in our research, the good thing that approximately 77% of our respondents are either client or PMC. So we have a nice representation about the key stakeholders of the problem. All our survey respondents have an experience in large-scale PMC managed programs. And they also they are distributed nicely among the world. So we have a nice representation from around the world. When we asked our survey respondents, we gave them the issues and the success factors, and we tried to come up with the key or the key challenge in the client-PMC relationship. And this is what they come up with. They said that the biggest challenge in the client-PMC relationship is the client-PMC cultural difference. When we talk about the cultural difference, we mean the organizational cultural difference. And they said that the absence of program management and audit methodology in the client's organization is the second biggest issue. They identified the lack of clients' competent staff as the third biggest issue. Then the improper PMC compensation model and risk allocation. Here we are talking about the contract, the client PMC contract. And the fifth issue is the absence of a governance model. In my view, the incompetent staff, in my view, should come first, in my view. Because if you have the right people in the client's organization, you won't have a client PMC cultural issues. If you have the right people in the client's organization, you will definitely have a program management methodology and an audit methodology and all the other required processes. So, based on these findings, we came up with what we call it the program management outsourcing capability chain. So we believe that these 12 factors are the most important factors in the client-PMC relationship or in the PMC managed programs. The interesting thing about these findings that both the client and the PMC, both of them, agree on the top 5 challenges. So both of them agree that the client and the PMC cultural difference is the biggest challenge. Both of them agree that the absence of the program management and audit methodology is the second challenge, and so on. So there is an agreement between the two parties of the problem. Let me ask you a question before I show this slide. In your view, out of these 12 factors, let me get back to that slide one more time. In your view, which party is responsible for most of these factors? Is it the client or the PMC? I'll give you 30 seconds to think about it, then I will ask you the question again. Which party is responsible for most of these factors? So there are 12. So if it's 6 and more, that means most. So above 6. Okay, who believes it's the PMC? Okay, who believes it's the client? Okay, we are almost 50-50. We believe that the client is responsible for most of the 12 factors. We believe that 8 out of the 12 factors are the client's responsibility. And 4 factors are the PMC responsibility. And for those who are interested to know the relationship between these factors and the performance domains in the standard for program management, the PMI standard for program management. This is how the mapping will look like. You will notice that the governance, most of the factors lie under the governance performance domain. It's all about governance. When it comes to program management, it's all about governance. So, I would like to ask you another question. Which weak links, in your view, has the most significant impact on the client's investments, financial investments? I'll just give you another 30 seconds and I will ask you this question again. Okay, the cultural difference. Okay. The absence of the methodology, audit and program management methodology. Lack of clients' competent staff. Okay, we have few. The improper PMC compensation model and risk allocation. We have some more. The absence of the governance model. Okay, we have few. The poor stakeholder engagement. Okay, lack of transition and handover plan. Okay, there is no agreement. We don't have an agreement. Unclear responsibilities and delegation. This is a big issue, by the way. The lack of client support. Okay. Lack of business case. Okay. Actually, there are three factors. There are three factors that are responsible for the most financial impact on the client investment. The improper PMC compensation model, here I'm talking about the contract, the financial schedule in the PMC and client contract. This is extremely dangerous. The second point is the absence of the governance model. When we say governance, what does governance mean? Governance is performance and conformance. If you cannot manage the performance, how do you think the impact on your financial investment will look like? Finally, the business case. Do you agree on the business case, or someone may not agree? No. If you agree, raise your hand, please. So if you don't agree, raise your hand. Some people, they don't neither agree or disagree. Why? No. If you agree, raise your hand. If you don't agree, raise your hand. Okay, that's better. A lack of a business case simply means that you may be executing a wrong project. You may be executing a project that doesn't add value to your portfolio and your strategic objectives. I was surprised to see something like that through the years, and it's repetitive. So it's not something that happens maybe once a year or twice a year. It happens all the time. A big bunch of projects, they don't contribute to the client's strategic objectives. It's something very, very serious. The lack of business case is extremely serious. So, an interesting piece of information for those who are interested in the client's organizational maturity and the operational excellence and all these important things, that most of our respondents, approximately 70% of the respondents, they rated the client's organization maturity as either 1 or 2, level 1 or 2, in a scale 1 to 5. And 100% of those who rated 1 or 2, 100% were in the MENA region. So, in conclusion, it was a long study, but I'm just sharing with you a very high level information about it. If you're interested to get the full research, I'm very happy to share it with you. In conclusion, the biggest 5 challenges that face the client-PMC relationship or that face the PMC managed programs are agreed on between the client and the PMC. So there's no disagreement. Both of them agree on that. And the interesting thing that more than 50% of the client's organization respondents believe that their organization lack competent staff. So they say about their organizations that they don't have a competent staff. And 65% of the respondents believe that their organizations has neither a program management methodology nor an audit methodology in place. So I'm not going to go through this into details. So although all the 12 factors are very important, we came up with 4 key recommendations, which we believe that implementing these recommendations will increase the likelihood of the PMC managed program success. 1, improving the organizational maturity and develop the client's competent staff. I have seen some presidents of some government organizations have a significant portfolio of infrastructure programs, and they say, I don't need to invest in my people. Once I bring the right PMC on board, he will just take care of everything. Guys, just relax and watch them. Unfortunately, it's proved that this is incorrect. It's proved that your team are very important to be competent and up to the challenge. Number 2, developing a program management and program audit methodology. And please don't tell me that I have a PMO and the PMO director is reported to the president or the CEO. Please. Please don't tell me that I have an audit office and the audit manager is reporting to the president. Please. How many of you has an audit function in their organization that is empowered, effective, efficient, and adds value to their organization? 1, 2, 2, 2. So I'm not surprised. Number 3, developing a good contract with a proper PMC compensation model and risk allocation. The most important part in the contract is the financial section, the financial schedule. If you do it right from the beginning, a lot of things will be right after that. If you don't do it right from the beginning, expect a lot of challenge and a lot of issues along the way. The 4th recommendation, Mr. Client, you can definitely outsource the program management, but you can never outsource the program governance. It is your responsibility. It is your responsibility. You have to do it right, and you have to do it right from day one. I have seen some programs, more than one program. I've seen 5 or 6 programs. They are still discussing the roles and responsibilities of the client and the PMC after 3 years of the program commencement. 3 years of the program commencement without a clear, agreed on roles and responsibilities. So, finally, Beside all these important factors, I believe, and I think you agree with me, that the most important thing, the foundation of the success between the client and the PMC, is to have a mutual trust and shared value. Because unfortunately, we don't have that in some of the programs nowadays. Thank you so much, and I hope that it was useful discussion. I'm very happy to take any questions if you like. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any questions are welcome.
Yeah, what's the role of the PMC company to illiterate the client and explain to him how exactly or what are the requirements from the client to have a good coordination in the future?
Okay, if I got the question correctly, what is the role of the PMC to transfer knowledge to the client? Okay, some PMC contracts include a section or some clauses to talk about the knowledge transfer. Does it work in reality? To be honest with you, in the MENA region, I didn't see this work. I'm very honest. I know that some people will be upset when I say that. Okay, the knowledge transfer, the handover should start from day one. There is nothing called knowledge transfer at the end. At the end, most of the people who set up and executed the program will be left already. Okay, I got the question. Okay, I got the point. That's correct. They have a very big responsibility to share that with the client from day one, and they have to work together to set up all these things from the beginning. However, the PMC will say, it's not my responsibility to increase the client's organization maturity. It's not my responsibility to ensure that the client has a competent staff. I don't have the mandate to ask the client, Mr. Client, your staff are incompetent. You need to get the right people on board.
If the PMC company will cooperate with the client from the beginning, they will all have a mutual benefit outcome.
That's correct.
Yeah, so it's at the end, it's in one of the interests of the PMC company to cooperate positively and proactively with the client. That's what I mean. It's not, of course, it's not the PMC responsibility contractually, but if the PMC...
Maybe your example for the 3 years, yeah, would give him the right answer why it happens. The responsibility matrix between the client and the business.
That's correct. That's correct. That's a very good point. Thank you so much for that. That's correct. That's correct. We can talk about this in more details after the session. Mr. Tariq has a question. Please.
Thank you. It's very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much.
You know, what do you think about the deployment? We know what are the problems of deployment stage. And
the deployment,
you know, it's not implementation, deployment, after you finish the methodology and after you introduce the processes and the knowledge. Deployment stage to have like testing for 5 or 3 projects in the deployment stage. And how can you link between the PMO and future operation of the company? Because we know that after they finish everything and they fail because maybe of incompetent people, compliance, whatever you have, at the end of the day, we didn't have good consultant. What do you think about deployment and operation?
Okay, but I just would like to highlight something, Tariq, that this is somehow different than a typical management consultancy engagement, where the management consultant get engaged with the client to build some processes, procedure, guidelines, some best practices, and help the client to implement these. This is somehow different. The infrastructure programs are somehow different. So I will be very happy to discuss this with you after the session, but I don't want to distract because I know exactly what you're talking about. We can have this off records as well. Any other questions? Okay, the gentleman here. Okay, we'll take this. Can we take this first? Okay.
Please. Thank you very much. It was a nice presentation.
Thank you so much.
The question, how do you see the role of PMC when it is based on time chart, basically as long
Based on a time?
time they're paid on time.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Is it a conflict of interest?
I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about. This is exactly the point. One of the slides that was in a previous version of this presentation exactly was discussing this point. One of the issues, in my view, and this is what I referred to as the compensation model. One of the issues, in my view, is the resource-based payment. The resource-based payment, it's a timesheet, you count the heads, at the end of the month, you just pay the bill. In the MENA region, I know that some people will be upset, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So in my view, a risk-sharing contract is much better model. It's implemented in the United States a lot. It's not implemented in the Middle East at all, at least to the best of my knowledge. But in my view, the resource-based payment proved to be not the best model to compensate the PMC. So I agree with you.
I'd like to come back to the first question about the relation between the PMC and the client. I believe it's about enhancement of the client understanding or will understanding and attitude of their staff more than knowledge transfer. Because if we can consider the PMC contract as maybe as an introduction of this contract process, evaluation and recommendation to enhance the attitude of the client staff themselves. Enhance or definite procedure, how we can share responsibilities to be clear where is this responsibility allocated. That's what I'm talking about. Enhancement, not just transfer knowledge.
I understand exactly what you're talking about. Unfortunately, this is, in theory, it's correct. In some other regions, with some more mature clients, is correct. But to be honest with you, it doesn't work here. I'm very honest with you. It doesn't work here. So,
as a recommendation
even
for
if the
client
PMC
to take his responsibility.
I've seen tens of proposals to increase the client's organization maturity, improve the operation, do blah, 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 blah. And the client, they don't take an action for any of these proposals.
Because the lack of business case is one major result of the incompetent client staff. This from client side as a start.
In my view, it's all about the competent stuff. If you have the right people, give me the right people and I can do everything.
So before, as a PMC, before I go within the contract with this client, I have to recommend for him if he wants to count on my firm to take this procedure before to go on the contract.
I understand what you're talking about, but it's very difficult because this is more of a management consultant role than a program management consultant role. The program manager's role, I'm here to execute that project or that program. I'm not here to enhance the competency of your staff.
This is a part of the risk.
I'm sorry?
This could be considered as a part of the risk.
It could be considered as?
Part of the risk management.
Part of the risk management.
I'll face risk from your staff. I expect to face this risk, this forecasting, or I have to evaluate and consider.
I saw a proposal maybe 3 years ago. From one of the PMCs to the client to improve the client's competency. The client didn't take an action. Do you think that if a recommendation came to the client that you have to get rid of 30% of your stuff, do you think that the client will be happy to receive a recommendation like that? I don't think so. So,
I have one question.
Sometimes it's the program. It's if it is linked sometimes to the government also identity. When you
definitely here I'm talking about government. I'm talking about infrastructure development. It's government. I'm not talking about the private sector.
So the different entities involved in this programs also have also some objectives, and they have the targets up on, and this to integrated with the program overall, including the PMC staff. This is actually let's say the major actually concerns, what I understand from the gentleman when he's talking about the risks. Yeah, this is the integration actually between the.
I agree with you. I agree with you. That's correct. I agree with you. That's correct. I believe it's part of the governance as well. So I agree with you. Any more questions? Okay.
Yeah, one quick question. You talked about the risk-based compensation model, like in US. How does that work? Instead of being on a timesheet and number of headcounts and compensating based on that, how would the risk-based work?
Okay. The guaranteed maximum price, the GMP model, which already implemented in the construction industry. If you can use the guaranteed maximum price with the PMC, so you're the client, I am the PMC, you will have an agreement with me, and I will have a guaranteed maximum price to manage that program, okay? If I go above that for reasons behind the control of the PMC, the client is taking the risk. But again, for reasons behind the control of the PMC, okay? Because this is not what happens right now. And if you, because of your best practices, your efficient operation, you successfully saved from the allocated budget, we can share that saving between me and you with an agreed on percentage. What happens in some programs right now, they have a GMP, so the contract is the GMP, it's a guaranteed maximum price, but actually it's a variable GMP because it's linked to a number of variables. So for example, it's linked to the design area. If the design is larger, the GMP automatically goes up. And it linked to the construction costs. So if the contractor submitted a variation to increase for whatever reason, automatically the GMP of the PMC goes up. It can never work like that. So, any more questions? Thank you so much again. I'm very happy to see you, and I'll be very happy to share with you the full research if you're interested. Thank you so much again. Thanks a lot.